my name is Sophia, and welcome to The Show Must Go On. So today, I am here to talk about school spirits again, of course. So obviously, I have not done a video about episode 7 yet, and I'm so sorry that it's been taking so long. I've just had a very crazy, busy past couple of days after that episode came out. But obviously the finale of the season comes out tomorrow, and I really want to get something out before the finale comes out because I really want to get, some final theories going and all of that before we kind of find out a lot of things. But I thought that it would kind of take me too long if I tried to make like a whole video about episode 7 and everything and get it up today. I just didn't think I would be able to do that logistically. So instead, I'm going to do a thing where in this video, I will just be talking about like theories and like what we could maybe expect on the next episode. And then later after that, I think I'll do something with maybe I'll kind of like combine talking about episode 7 and the finale or something like that. So yeah, because episode 7 was a crazy episode. It was so good, but also very emotional. If you know, you know. And yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Like always, I will be going through some theories. Some of them will be things that I've seen people say on Reddit, and then some will just be kind of like more general, like I've seen like a lot of people say something similar, or I've even thought of it myself or whatever. So starting with like specific ones that I saw people say on Reddit. When we see at the end of that episode, Maddie like walks through her door and she's in this like forest looking place, so we have no idea what it is. And they said, I wonder if she's been spit out at the cabin her mom purchased with her college fund since that caused her emotional death. So that's really interesting to me because, I don't know, obviously, like, we have no idea what this forest is, but, like, people have been having some different ideas, like, yeah, maybe having to do with the cabin, because I feel like when you think of, like, forest and woods, like, that is kind of one of the first thoughts that kind of pops into your brain is, like, the cabin that her mom had, like, that has a lot of significance to Maddie, obviously. And then also someone said, I wondered if she's now in the woods by the river where her dad had his fishing accident. So, like, I've seen a lot of people say those as, like, maybe two of the options of, like, what this forest is, because obviously those are two, like, forest-y locations that, like, have significance to Maddie. And obviously, even if it is one of those, like, I still don't really know, like, what it's gonna have to do with anything and, like, why. But the only thing that doesn't make sense to me about that is, like, because a lot of people have been saying they kind of think, it's trying to show that. I think we all know at this point that, like, they're basically showing us that the exit doors aren't really what we've been thinking they are. Like, it's not just you cross over. Like, there seems to be something else happening with them. But obviously, like, a lot of people have been thinking that, it's still kind of something positive, though. Like, you're kind of being led into something where, you're kind of in this, like, environment that you find to be peaceful or something. And, so that's the only thing why I don't know, like, why Maddie's, like, if that was the case, why Maddie's would be these, like, triggering locations to her. But once again, I could be wrong, because maybe it isn't, like, a peaceful place. Like, maybe it still kind of is another, like, not great place, like being stuck in the school, like some other type of limbo that they're in. Like, I don't know. I'm just so confused right now because I don't understand, like, why they would have to be in, like, another, like, plane of existence before they got to cross over. Someone said, I think the doors aren't truly passing on. I think they all lead to that forest. I think the forest is a sort of maze they all have to get through, like the scars. But afterwards, it gives them the ability to leave the school boundary. So I think if there's a season 4, we'd get to see Wally, Janet, and Dawn be able to navigate the rest of the town. So it would make sense in a way then why Wally showed up the day Maddie left, if we assume the doors are a good thing and not nefarious. It was trying to give him the capability to still see her outside of school. So that's very interesting to me. And I'm really starting to, like, once I read this, I am really starting to kind of believe this theory that, like, maybe they are still ghosts, but this is, like, the way that they get to at least leave the school grounds. Because that was actually a theory that I had, like, if you go back and watch my season 3 theories video, I had actually said, like, I was like, what if the ghosts could somehow leave the school? Like, still, they would still be, like, ghosts, but, like, they could actually, like, go other places. Because, like, if Simon could go in as a living person, like, what's to say they couldn't somehow get out? Because, you know, we even saw in season 2, like, Janet and Mr. Martin were having a lot of theories about that, like, about how they could maybe just be able to leave the school at least, like, not even cross over, just, like, leave, you know? And obviously Janet's theory was, like, you know, if they were all in their scars or whatever, like, there would be so much trauma that it would, like, completely thin the veil and then they could, like, leave. But obviously maybe that's not how it works, but maybe she was kind of on to something about, like, the idea of them being able to leave. So, because obviously at the time when she was saying that, like, she still didn't know about the door, like, the exit doors. So maybe what we've actually, yeah, this is, the more I'm saying it, this makes so much sense to me, because of course we're just kind of looking at an exit door and we think, like we kind of just automatically think, oh my god, it means, like, crossing over, like, but, like, when you think about it, like, just an exit door could also just mean, like, you can exit the school. Not necessarily, like, to heaven or whatever, but just, like, you can exit. Because obviously them just going out the actual school doors, you know, don't let them exit. So it's almost like the ghost's version of leaving the school. You know what I mean? Rather than just, like, the actual exit doors that, like, normal living people could use to leave the school. Because also, now that I think about it, like, when we saw in season 2 Dawn's door, we can hear her, like, laughing and stuff, and it's very, like, peaceful. And I remember there was kind of these sound effects of, it almost sounded like wind chimes and, like, bells and stuff. Like, it just sounded very, like, almost, like, nature-y and stuff. And, like, obviously her whole scar was now, like, marigolds, which is another, like, outdoor, like, nature-y thing. So maybe that person's right that, like, it, like, actually every door leads to this forest, and maybe it's just, like, the outside of the school, like, behind the school or something, and it's just, like, a way for them to exit and go to other places. And, like, Dawn's laughter and all that stuff was just, and, like, the wind chime sounds and the marigolds, like, was just representing, like, oh, like, she's happier because she's, like, out in the world and she's, like, exploring and in nature, and she's not, like, confined in the school. Also, a lot of people have been saying, like, we don't really think that Wally's, like, completely gone and that's, like, the last we've ever seen of him, because he's such a fan favorite character, and his crossing over was so, like, quick, and, like, you know, like, he didn't really get, like, a nice, like, long, like, goodbye scene, like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like they wouldn't just get rid of his character, you know, without him at least having a, like, proper, like, goodbye kind of, like, to the audience too, almost. So, and just, you know, with everything going on, like, we just get the feeling that he's not truly, like, gone completely. And I've also thought from the beginning that there might still be something with Janet, and Janet might not also be completely gone, because her whole departure was also very, like, sudden and weird, and I was just like, either the actress, like, Jessica Bohr, who plays Janet, just, like, literally contractually, like, couldn't do that many episodes, or there is some, like, bigger, like, thing about, like, you know, there's gonna be, like, a reveal with, like, you know, we're gonna see her again and whatever. So now I'm actually starting to more so lean towards that. I just really do think that maybe this is the way that they can leave the school. And because then also that would really like open up the show to new possibilities like in a future season, because like, you know, if you can have some of these characters that previously could only be stuck in one place go other places, like obviously that would open up so many more opportunities for the show. So I feel like that would also like logistically make sense, like from a storytelling standpoint. But some people also have this theory that the exit doors kind of lead to like the ghost's like idea of like a perfect life, or like I said, like some peaceful thing for them. So like maybe for Wally, because he gave that whole speech about how he actually like loved high school and everything, like maybe for him he still is some sort of version of high school, but like a more cheery version of it. Because also we've gotten that picture of him where it looks like he's like, it kind of looks like a flashback, but like we don't really know what it could be. I know a lot of people have the theory that like it leads them to be like right in the moment, like right before they died, and they can like make a different choice that then like makes them not die, and it's kind of like an alternate universe for like they didn't die or something. But I don't know, like it is a cool theory, but I personally don't think they're going in that direction, just because I don't know, I think it would get really complicated, and like it would kind of mess with the like, I don't know, it would just get weird, because then I feel like it would be like, well wait, but then so did any of the show's plot line, like is any of that canon anymore? Like if they all just actually lived, and like would they even remember what happened, like their friends as like that would be so sad if they didn't like remember each other and stuff. So I don't know, I just think that would get a little complicated. So I don't think it's gonna actually be like, oh my god, like Wally gets to be alive again now or something, or like, you know, he's back in the 80s but like he's still alive. Like I don't think that's gonna be the case, but I do think it's still maybe some sort of like it could be like they're just in their own version of this like nice place, like where they would want to live. So like maybe he still is a ghost, but he's in like another version of the school, kind of where like maybe everything looks like the 80s and stuff, but like he's still not actually alive. And then like another thing that a lot of people have said is like kind of another hint that is like there that kind of shows that like Maddie and Wally are probably gonna see each other again, and that's not like the complete end of them, is because the whole thing with like Maddie's necklace and how it's like a compass, and Wally has a copy of that too, and like we saw when he went into his door, like right before he like kissed the necklace, and so that could just kind of represent, like that could be a very visual metaphor for like they'll find their way back to each other, like it's a compass literally. And I also just think that can kind of represent like for anything too, like I just think it shows that like everyone's gonna find their way back to each other. Like she's gonna find Simon, maybe gonna see Janet and Dawn, like maybe she's even gonna end up being able to see her dad, because someone said too, like when her dad gave her the necklace, he said like, you know, it's a compass, so now when you have it, like I'll always be able to find you. Yeah, like maybe that's even gonna somehow happen. I don't know how, but yeah. As for Simon, I mean, I'm still really confused. My best guess is that he also somehow got sucked into one of these, you know, portals where he's in like that forest or whatever. I mean, how? I don't really understand, because he's completely living, so he wouldn't have like, well, unless like I've said before, maybe he does actually have a scar somehow just because he's in the world and everything. But yeah, I don't know, I guess my best guess is that he's just somehow in there or something, because like obviously that would just make sense with like Maddie being able to find him and everything, and it would also make sense with like, you know, because that's kind of why Wally did what he did, was like probably to look for Simon. But then I also feel like that's like too easy if that's just like what we assume, so I don't know. And I also just don't get why the flood would bring him to that and not just being alive again, you know what I mean? Unless, I don't know, I literally don't know, I'm so confused. And then as for like the whole thing with, like, Van Height and everything, I also don't know. Like, obviously we know Kyle's now in his body again, so I think that's really great, because obviously I think now he's gonna be able to, like, you know, not fund the school being taken down, which, you know, we saw Dr. Hunter Price's meltdown, so who knows what she's gonna do even without his help, but, you know, but at least, like, he'll probably not, like, say no to that and everything, and he'll be able to kind of, like, help with some stuff. But as for the actual, like, where Van Height is and what he's doing, I have no idea. I mean, obviously, I think, you know, we're gonna see a lot about that in this episode, and maybe even, like, the big cliffhanger of the season will kind of have to, like, somewhat do with Van Height. Like, I know some people think he's gonna take another person's body by the end of it, but I don't know, I kind of, like, don't want that to happen, because I kind of don't want every season to just be like, oh my god, someone went to someone's body, or like, they're stuck. Like, I don't kind of want, like, the same thing to happen over and over, so I kind of hope that doesn't happen. But, like, unless it's, like, a person that we don't, like, know that well, like, then I'd be kind of fine with it, because then it's just, like, its own thing. But I kind of don't want, like, the same plot of, like, oh, one of these characters that we know and love, like, we have to get them back, you know? So now I'm going to talk about what we can maybe expect on the last episode of the season, and just everything that we do kind of know about it so far. So, we know that it is called Dawn of the Deb, which is obviously interesting in itself, because we have two character names in that title. Dawn, obviously, and Deb, aka Deborah Hunter Price. Obviously, that makes me think that Dawn and Dr. Hunter Price are going to have very big significance in this episode. And then I also think that title's interesting because it's referencing the 2004 horror movie Dawn of the Dead, and the whole thing with that is, like, this woman realizes that her entire neighborhood has been overrun by zombies and, like, the Walking Dead. So I'm wondering if, once again, maybe that does kind of back up the theory of, like, the ghosts are going to be able to, like, leave the school grounds or something, because that would kind of mirror that, like, oh, like, it's the dawn of the dead, like, they're finally getting to, like, do something and, like, escape, and they're all over the town now, like, even if people still can't see them, but, like, they're there, you know what I mean? So I don't know. And then the little description we have for this episode is: Simon drifts deeper into danger while his friends race against time to save him. Living and ghostly allies unite against a mysterious adversary, risking everything to protect their world. So obviously this is concerning about Simon still drifting deeper into danger. You know, both the living and ghosts are kind of uniting against a mysterious adversary. Once again, I find that weird because I think they used that same kind of phrase in one of the other episode descriptions, and I don't know, once again, if they just are talking about Van Height or, like, something else. Risking everything to protect their world. So that's also interesting, like, to protect their world. Like, we're not even just talking about, like, to protect Simon, like, they're literally saying their world. So obviously that does still make me think it has something to do with Van Height, and they're really trying to protect, like, people from, so that he doesn't freaking body snatch more people or do these crazy things, you know? And then obviously, once again, I have this picture of Wally because actually when I went on the IMDb for the episode, this picture was, like, the main picture of it. So I don't know if that means it actually is going to be, like, the thumbnail of the episode, or if it's just, like, just showing that that is gonna be in the episode. I still feel like it's just a flashback of some sort, because once again, I'm not really in the group of people that think they're gonna get to, like, live again or whatever. Watch me be wrong. I don't know. So I still think this is some sort of flashback, but why we're getting it and stuff too, I don't know. But obviously, once again, it also just hints at the fact that, like, we're not done seeing Wally, you know, like, because also if there's gonna be a flashback of him, like, then that's probably hinting that, you know, we're gonna see him for some reason, because he's probably gonna be, like, telling some story from his past or something, and then there's gonna be a flashback. Another thing that I wanted to mention, so, okay, this is gonna be a little, like, spoiler. It's not like, trust me, I do not like spoilers and like leaks and stuff. Nothing like super big, but it is like kind of a spoiler about certain characters that may be in the episode. If you just don't want to know like anything that could possibly happen in the next episode, skip to this time frame that I have on the screen. But if you want to hear, then I will talk about it. So, once again, when I was on the IMDb credits for this episode, I did see Janet and Dawn. Their actors are listed in the cast. I mean, you know, it could be flashbacks, but I'm pretty sure, you know, that this does mean that we are gonna actually see Janet and Dawn again. At this point, once again, I think we're just really delving into this idea that these doors aren't what we think they are, and these people that we thought were completely gone aren't. So yeah, so I think that's kind of confirmation that we're gonna see them. And I mean, obviously we still don't know like when we're gonna see them, like what's gonna happen, like the context behind it, but I do think we're gonna see them, and that's very exciting. Because once again, that would be great, because I've loved this season, but one of the only things I haven't liked about this season was the weird way that Janet just like left so suddenly. I was like, wait, like, so I will be very happy if she is back and like that wasn't the end of her. And same thing with Dawn too, because I love Dawn so much, and like I loved last season when we got that little bonus like flashback of her. And then just a few other things. So I showed these in my last video too, but we do have this picture that we still haven't seen of Nicole and Claire seemingly at another type of like town hall meeting or something. And yeah, like there's these kids that have a poster that say like our school, and I'm thinking it says like save our school or something. So obviously, you know, showing that they're, you know, trying to save it. And of course we heard them say at the end, like they went to the principal and they're like, we have an idea of how we can stop the school from shutting down. So, you know, I think we're gonna see that. And then once again, we have these pictures showing that a lot of the characters needed stunt doubles for this last episode, including Charlie, Yuri, and Dr. Hunter Price. And I think I actually did hear Nick Pugliese, who plays Charlie, saying something about like, yeah, like we needed body doubles for the finale, and like it's really crazy and all this stuff. So I don't, like, once again, I don't know what that means, but I guess we can expect some type of very crazy like physical action from these characters. And then two other little things is that, so I watched this really great interview with Peyton List, and I'll like link it down below because it's really good. They were talking about like the moment where Maddie finally tells Sandra, you know, everything that really happened, and the interviewer was like, oh, like it was so nice like to finally see Maddie and Sandra kind of having like a good moment together and stuff. And then Peyton was like, oh yeah, that's what I thought too. And then things kind of go downhill again in the last episode. So once again, I don't know what that means, but obviously something is gonna happen with their relationship. I don't know if that's just like meaning like, you know, because now Maddie's still doing these weird things, like she went into this weird door or whatever, and you know, it's gonna make Sandra maybe even more like still not trusting of her and stuff. Or if something specifically is gonna happen to Sandra or something, I don't know. And then also, I've seen things that say Christian Ventura, who plays Simon, has said things about like how crazy the cliffhanger is and how it's gonna make you want to like throw your remote at the TV screen. And how there were some people on his Instagram who were saying like, I hope Simon's okay, and he replies, hope is a funny thing, with like a kind of like crying emoji. So that is making me think that, you know, Simon might not even fully be in the clear by the end of the season, which is crazy. I mean, maybe he will come back, but then he's just saying like everyone's gonna be kind of screwed by the end of it because there's still something crazy happening with like Van Height or something. And then finally, I just want to talk about this little teaser that we got on the School Spirits Instagram and TikTok. So basically in the teaser, we just see Maddie, you know, coming through the door and like walking, and once again she's in this weird forest, but then we see that it keeps also cutting to showing like what's happening in the real world. Like we see Maddie just like walking, and she seems to be walking like just outside. She's like under like a bridge or something, and then at one point there's like a car and it looks like it's almost gonna like hit her, but then it like goes out of the way, and then Maddie like gets in the car by the end of the teaser. And you know, this whole time also Maddie's just looking very like dazed, you know, kind of like how she does like when she's in these visions and stuff. That's just interesting to me too, because it's showing that this still is kind of like one of her visions or whatever, because like there is still this like real life version of her that is actually walking somewhere else. So it's making me confused about like how real this forest is, or if it's just like that because she is still a living person. So like for her it's more just like her spirit that's in that place and her physical body is still just like here like walking around. So that's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed. I am so excited for the finale, but I'm also so sad. Like I can't even believe we're already here again at like the season's about to end. Like I literally feel like it went so fast, but it was so fun. And yeah, but definitely leave all of your theories about what you think is going to happen in this finale down below. I would love to hear them, and then I'll be back after that to talk about the last episode. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did last year, where I also just do a whole video where I kind of just like review the whole season. Yeah, I'm very excited to do that, and I'll see you next time. Bye!